What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be looking at a post that I made for you guys asking for Maple Leaf trade suggestions. Not saying these are going to happen because these are coming from you. So we're going to be talking about a ton of trade stuff today. This is a Leaf trade video for sure. So I'm going to give my opinion on a ton of different trade options for the Maple Leafs. So if you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. I know a ton of you guys watching this aren't subscribed. Liking and subscribing could change my life. Trying to make this my full-time gig. So please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you want some help on and off the ice here, come on. Manscaped, 20% off and free shipping with the code APH. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code APH at Manscaped. So click that link down below if you want to learn more about that. But on my community page a while back, I posted, if you were the Leafs GM, what realistic trade would you make? Leave me your trade suggestions down below. I'll make a video about them. So I'm going to be doing more videos like this. So if you see a community post like that, that's what I'm saying. You got to like and subscribe, because then I'll be posting this and you'll be featured in my video. So we're going to be going, there's 17 comments here. We're going to be briefly trying to look at a lot of these, probably all of them, and talk about what you guys think should happen. So the first comment is 5 Drunk Whales 9291 saying Willie is replaceable. That's a pretty intense first line. If I was Leafs GM, I would trade Willie for a number 1D. Maybe somebody like Zach Werenski or Peak or David Jiricek. That would round out the defense. And as we saw, a team with a solid defense with a solid defense can win without a number 1 goalie. So he's probably referencing, he or she, sorry, is probably referencing what Vegas did with Adin Hill. But Adin Hill came in and played like exceptionally well. Excuse me. Now, David Jiricek is probably the most intriguing name here. I don't know if Zach Werenski would be a guy that I would definitely be going after. But saying Willie is replaceable is a very bold statement, because he's replaceable in the sense that if you get a number 1 defenseman back, then yeah, that kind of makes sense. But I still think that Columbus, even trading one of these guys, would probably still have to make a little bit of a sweetener involved in that. I wouldn't necessarily be interested in Werenski or Peak. I would probably be interested in Jiricek. Definitely has a lot of upside, pretty solid defenseman. So I can see where you're going here. So if they built a trade package with Nylander and Jiricek being the centerpieces of that, then I don't necessarily disagree. If you can get a number 1 defenseman, then Willie can be replaced for sure. The next one has to do with Willie again, and this is Cole Talks Hockey. I think a lot of these have to do with Nylander, but that's fine. But Cole Talks Hockey 67 says, I would trade Willie for a top 4 defenseman and even look at moving Brody for some more depth up front. I think Wall is good enough to be the backup, but having Jones as a number 3 is fine. Andrew, who would you trade? I'm also on the side of not trading. I'm guessing you meant trading instead of reading Brody, unless we're upgrading on the right side of the ice. So thank you for the comment, both of you so far, and thank you to everybody. But trading Nylander for a top 4 defenseman, probably you're getting back a guy with a lower cap hit. That's probably what the Leafs are going to be trying to do, which in turn, I just wouldn't trade TJ Brody at that point. If you can get a top 4 defenseman, probably a top 2 guy if you're trading William Nylander, you can have a top 2 guy added in with TJ Brody. So like, let's say you get a David Jiricek, right? So you have your whole list, and I'm not saying these would be the pairings. You would have Riley Brody, you would have McCabe Jiricek, and then you would have Gio, you would have Timmins, you would have Liljegren. Like, it would just knock down the depth chart a little bit. You'd have John Klingberg. I even forgot about Klingberg, right? So the Leafs would have a really, really solid competitive decor in which you would probably just trade a guy like Connor Timmins for depth, and you would have Gio coming in and out of the lineup. So I don't mind this. I just don't think I would trade TJ Brody. Like you said, you're also on the side of not trading Brody unless you're upgrading. So I'm not necessarily against that one. And I think Wall is definitely ready to be the backup, and having Jones as a number 3 is fine. But we'll have to see if Jones will clear through waivers, because after camp, they're not going to be carrying 3 goalies. So again, thank you for the comment. Let's get to the next one. Taking a quick break to let you guys know about the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Hockey season is coming up, and we all know it's important to stay fresh and protected on and off the ice. And well, Manscaped is here to help us do that. I've got the Performance Package 4.0 with me. I've even got my travel bag, and it's perfect for the dressing room. Inside holds the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce accidents down there using its advanced skin-safe technology. It's also waterproof and has an LED spotlight for a more precise shave. Next up is a game changer, and that is the Weed Whacker Nose Hair Trimmer. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and has proprietary skin-safe technology. That's going to help nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. You're also getting the Crop Preserver below the waist deodorant and Crop Reviver below the waist toner. And like I mentioned earlier, Manscaped threw in 2 free gifts with the Performance Package 4.0. That is the Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Get 20% off and free shipping with my code APH at manscaped.com. That's APH for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Now back to the video. All right, so this next one is coming from Shakes-P. So this is a Leafs Flames trade regarding some names that we've talked about already. So Nylander, Brody, and Timmins for Lindholm, Zadorov, and Hanifin. That's a monster trade. Mix in a few picks on either side. The cap is pretty much even here. Or Nylander for Dobson. So because we've talked about at length about Nylander and Brody and even some of the Flame stuff, I think that a trade that big probably doesn't happen. And I also just don't think the relationship with the Leafs and Flames would be good enough right now with Brad Treliving leaving that organization. I don't know if this makes a lot of sense. And if you're losing a player like William Nylander and guys like Lindholm and Hanifin have pretty much made it clear that they would sign outside of Canada, you can't lose William Nylander for basically nothing at that point. Because if Nylander signs an extension with the Flames, which, you know, he actually grew up in Calgary as well. I think he was actually born in Calgary. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Leafs to make this move. But your second trade, Nylander for Dobson, if you're having that as your centerpiece and the Leafs and Islanders make a big deal there, I actually really don't mind that. I think that Dobson's really, really good. So I think it makes sense. I don't mind the Nylander for Dobson centerpiece, and maybe that's something that the Leafs will do. So the next one is user-UR3ET5ZY9V. I think that's just an auto-generated one. This is another quick one. The only way we get a top 4D is we trade Willie away. As a Leaf fan, I have a bad feeling Matthews and Willie walk. Well, this was posted before Matthews signed his extension. And if that happens, heads will roll in the organization. So, again, respect your comment, but this goes back to what I was saying before. We will probably get a top 2 guy if you trade Nylander. So that's definitely a possibility. Silky Mitts 2353. With Willie having a 10-team no trade, let's assume the Canadian teams, Columbus, and smaller markets are on that list. This isn't an ideal trade, but considering the market, the Leafs cap situation, how about Nylander for Seth Jones, 30% retained? Jones is 28, $9.5 million for another 7 years until he's 35. With 30% retained, he's a 6.65 cap hit, which is similar to Willie's cap hit now. Jones is a big body with offensive upside. You talk about Matthews shutting him down. I don't really remember that. He can't be a worse player on a strong team. We'll talk about that. We know what Chicago gets: elite scoring winger for the next 7 to 8 years, around $9.10 million per. Nylander gets to play with Bedard. Okay. I'm not necessarily going to read the replies, and this is no disrespect to Silky Mitts 2353. Seth Jones' good days are done. I hate to say it. Even on a different team, I don't think that he's going to be effective, because even after, before coming to Chicago, he was already really slowing down. I'm not a fan of this trade. I think Seth Jones is not worth anywhere close to the money he's getting paid. He got absolutely shelled almost every time he was on the ice, and I know that Chicago sucks, and that definitely plays a factor into it, but he's too slow. He doesn't give the Leafs what they need. The Leafs just got a guy that can't play defense and only puts up points, and that's Klingberg. I just don't see how the Leafs would ever want to do this. The Leafs are going to go for a cheaper cap hit and probably a younger guy if they were to trade William Nylander. So, again, no disrespect. I think the idea, you're kind of in the right place, but I don't want Seth Jones. Maybe you're replacing that name with like a Colton Parayko, who also hasn't been that great. But you have to shoot for the stars with making a Nylander trade, and Nylander for Seth Jones would probably sway a lot of people away from even watching this team. He's not good, and I think a lot of people would see how much he gets burned. So again, no disrespect. I think you're kind of going in the right direction, but I just can't see how Seth Jones would be an option for the Maple Leafs. Powerpuff Girls for life. That's a name. I know you'll say this is impossible, but I would do everything I could to try to find a trade scenario that Tavares would wait for. He's on the decline, and in an ideal world, he is the one on the way out to free up cap space. Now, sure, he would. You're clearing $11 million, but and I know this is what you said. I'm gonna say he's never gonna waive, and he isn't. The whole goal for him is to retire a Maple Leaf, and he's gonna do that. He's going to sign for, cheaper deals much cheaper than $11 million. And he's on the decline, but like this is a guy that still gives you 80 plus points. So he still gives you a really, really good amount of points. Would he be the one that I would have traded if there was no trade clause? Of course. I love John Tavares. I've met him. He's a solid guy, but he's not going anywhere. So sorry about that. At this point, you don't want to deep either of them. Go. Okay, maybe this is about keep. At this point, you don't want to keep either of them. Maybe it's let either of them go. No disrespect to Graham here. I keep hearing about a big trade between Calgary or the Islanders. So we kind of talked about that already. So thank you, Graham, for the comment. I'm guessing you mean the Leafs trying to trade for a defenseman, and I'm guessing you're talking about Nylander here. So we've kind of talked about that. Same thing here at MPG 123, Nylander and Brody to Calgary for Lindholm and Tanev, or Zadorov as principals. Contingent of Nylander and Lindholm each signing extension. So this is, an extension on kind of what I discussed before. Nylander and Brody to Calgary for Lindholm and Tanev or Zadorov probably makes a lot of sense, as you're just basically going, okay, this guy won't sign here and this guy won't sign here, so let's just swap them, and they both sign new deals. That's fine. Lindholm would be your second line centerman. You move Tavares to the wing. That knocks down your depth even more. And then you get a top two defenseman in Tanev or Zadorov, both really defensively responsible, and you're sending Nylander the other way. I would rather the Leafs upgrade the defense without trading TJ Brody, like I mentioned before. So again, kind of an extension on what I said earlier. Now, this next comment just says, tough one. Yeah, I agree. 66 scores, 31. I definitely do. Now, this comment here says, trade William Nylander, TJ Brody, Timothy Liljegren, Connor Timmins, and Nick Robertson, I'm guessing you meant, and get two-way defensemen and forwards that can score, hit, block shots, and take away pucks, like Mario Ferraro, Travis Sanheim, Seth Jones, which no, not Seth Jones, Michael Bezzetta, Thomas Hertel, Frank. There's a ton of names here. Matt Martin, no thank you. Maybe Hannafin, maybe Zadorov, like we talked about. Logan Couture, I don't think that would ever happen. Logan Stanley could be an intriguing name. Connor Murphy is a good name. Dylan DeMello, Mark Scheifele. There is a billion names here. But there's also a lot of names here that don't make a lot of sense for the Maple Leafs. And you're considering you want to trade a lot of talent away here. I don't know why you would want to trade Timothy Liljegren or a Nick Robertson, because, these two guys are still young and have a lot to prove. Maybe, Joshua, you can expand on what specific trade you'd like the Leafs to make, because that is a billion names right there. And I'd love to kind of knock down maybe a couple trades that you're thinking in one of my next videos. So, hey guys, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to post a community post maybe in the next few days. So be on the lookout for that by liking and subscribing. Hopefully you guys enjoy videos like this. And if you are new, and I know some of you guys are new, I know it, make sure to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. I've been filming a lot of videos today. I'm probably wearing the same shirt in a few videos in a row because it's busy right now. So I'm trying to give you guys as much as possible. Again, use code APH on Manscaped for 20% off and free shipping. That's code APH for 20% off and free shipping at Manscaped. I'd greatly appreciate that. Like and subscribe. I love and appreciate you guys as always. Sound off in the comments about these trade suggestions, and be on the lookout for another community post. I want to see you guys in my next video. Peace.